artist who has worked with several brands, and he's here to share his wealth of knowledge with us. Thank you very much, sir, for honoring our invitation. So I would hand over the floor to Mr. Uzoma. Thank you, sir. Over to you, sir.
Hello. Uh, Sorry, I missed your name. What's the name?
Okay, my name is Louisa.
Lisa. Okay, nice to meet you. Thank you very much for the opportunity. Um, Thank you so much for the opportunity. I just wanted to say that I just wanted to give a shout out. First of all, I wanted to say thank you so much to NDA for the opportunity to be able to pass on some of my knowledge to the community, the digital arts community in Nigeria. Um, I saw a friend of mine just a few minutes ago. His name is Cyril. He's somewhere in this lineup. Um, Let me just say first and foremost that even though we are identified as self-taught artists, we learned from like we are part of is we have like a story or a background of having been taught by a lot of people, and we have to give what's the word now? We have to pay homage to those ones who taught us. And Cyril is like the very first person that I met in school. Like we went to the same university, University of Benin, and he was able to help me out when I started out with my journey. So I just wanted to give a shout out to Cyril. His full name is Cyril Kodu. So he's somewhere here. Yeah. So having said that, let me share my screen to just okay. So I use Clip Studio Paint. I used to use Photoshop, but not anymore. So, but you don't have to worry about the software in case anyone wants to know. But it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. It's your skill cuts across any software. At the end of the day, these are just tools. It doesn't matter if you use pencil on paper, Photoshop, or whatever is out there. So, I'm going to start with the notes. And hopefully, at the end of the day, we'll have like a Q&A, just to hear from you guys. And if there are any questions, hopefully there'll be questions. The title of this class, or should I, yeah, master class, I guess, is designing stylized characters. So my first notes, so I have like notes that would kind of guide the class. 1 hour is really short, like to be honest, like it's really, really short to impact knowledge in an hour. So I'll just try, as much as possible to to like do my best to pass across as much information as possible. I've crunched everything into these five like bullet points. So the first one is know the rules. My assumption is that most of the people here that are taking part in this already know the rules. When I say rules, I'm talking about draftsmanship. Like draftsmanship rules of I'm talking about dynamic lines, light and shade, perspective, all those kind of things. I want to assume that we already know that, because you can't move on to stylizing stuff if you don't already know how stuff is supposed to be. If you don't know anatomy, for example, you know the only way you can produce or create stylized characters is when you already know the rules, and there are rules for anatomy and all of that. So like I said, this is a 1 hour class. I'm not going to go into all of that. I just wanted to first of all let you know that before you can stylize something and for it to look appealing, you have to first of all know the rules, the ground rules. And I'm assuming that everybody here to some extent knows the rules. So we'll be moving on to the next one. The next one is look for the signs. So looking for the signs is a way of saying, I'm just going to pull up some references here. Or you know what? Let me start with Physique. So look for the sign. Looking for the signs means, being able to have that third eye that kind of looks at things, and you kind of see what is. That's why I said if you understand the rules, you understand how anatomy works. You know the measurements of the form of the different parts of the body and all. So when something sticks out to you, you can almost tell. So looking at this figure on the screen, we can tell that she's a very slim, slender, and tall person. But if you look at her neck looks like unusually long. I mean, I won't say unusually long, but it looks slightly longer than the average person's neck. And then she has like really long and slender legs. It also depends on. It's also because of how she's posed. Her torso looks like really really short compared to um, her legs, like the proportion compared to her legs. So the being able to see, when I say look for the signs, I'm saying look for these little details. So if we're going to stylize, this character, for example, I'm just going to do pull up what I did, like a sketch. Right? I'm still going to do a demo, but I just want to show you what I did here before the class. So so these are just like ways, that you can push your characters and still have something that's appealing. So I I looking at her body. Okay, let me start from this one on this side. So I because she's slender, I was just thinking, okay, how do we make someone that looks like a rectangle, like a very thin rectangle? So I just tried to like make things like really blocky and um, very very unusually thin, just so that I can push the forms. Even her head is like unusually thin, because if you look at this head, it's actually, oops, sorry, I'm supposed to put this. Yeah, if you look at this head, sorry. So her head looks round here. The original head looks round, but because we're trying to push things, I was just thinking about the shape, a rectangular shape. So I decided to push this to like she's almost like a rectangle, like a very long rectangle. So that means that what that means is that I'm compressing I'm compressing the volumes to be like almost flat across board. So that's, this is just one of the ways that you can stylize, but it's still based on what I'm seeing, right? I can decide to make this rounded, but I chose to make it angular because I'm looking at a rectangular shape. So that's that for this first one. The second one, I was just thinking, okay, her head looks kind of big, because there's a way you can look at this picture that it looks like her head is actually bigger than her body. So I just thought, okay, what about if we make the head slightly big, like, and then thin neck with the same rectangular forms, but this time around, um, I made her torso longer, because it all, and sometimes these things, there's really no rule. Like, you just want to play around, and you want to mess around with these things and just try to find something that works. Sometimes you do something, it doesn't work, you go back and you change it as you go. So there's really no like rule or anything, just having fun with it. So I decided to make her torso longer for this one, and an average length of the legs and her arms. Then for this one, I decided to like really really exaggerate it. And okay, I said, okay, if her head is not big, how about if her head is really really small? And then I decided to push that head like to be very very small, and made the torso like really short, because looking at it looks like, it appears that her torso is like really really short, but it's still kind of depending on, it's kind of because of the way she's posed. She's posed in a way that makes her torso really short, because her hips, this leg is the hip is really high up, so it makes her torso look short from this angle. I'm sure if you look from the other angle, her torso would look longer, but from this angle, I just thought about, okay, let's play with that idea of her torso being like really really short, and then exaggerating the length of the leg, really exaggerating that. So these are some of the ways you can, play around with stylization. And then also there are many artists out there doing great stuff. You can look them up. So moving on, I'm going to do like an actual demo. I'll try to be as quick as possible because of time. So another reference is, hold on, so where's my reference? Okay, so I'm gonna try this guy out. I want to try to play with this guy. So I'm going to try to play with this guy. Um, Again, I'm just using a regular. This is a calligraphic brush. Like it's not. It just allows me to be able to control the line weight. It's just a regular calligraphy brush. I'm sure you can find that on Photoshop as well. So here I'm just looking at. All I'm seeing is, if you look at this form, you can see like a square. All I'm really seeing is something like a square here. So let me draw on top of it so you see. So what I'm really seeing here is like a square. So it's now up to me to decide how I want to, play with this square. Like I can decide to take this square. If I was to draw the character as is, then I'll go with this proportion. But if I was to stylize it, then maybe I could decide to compress this head and then make the like the torso big and then compress. Maybe I can decide to thin up this part or make here slightly shorter. Or I could take it as it is, take the head as it is, and then compress the torso to be like really flat. And then, so these are ways you can stylize. Or I could also make the head like big and then make the torso short and then his legs long. So these are different ways you can stylize it. You can play around with this. So let me just quickly do like one demo. The time is running like really fast, so I don't really have much time. So I'm just gonna play with this guy's face. And then I want to make that, I want to try to compress, like I want to make, instead of following this measurement, I'll try to compress it and make it shorter. So I'm going to, and then I'm still thinking about the blocks, right? Because this guy is like really muscular. So I'm thinking about how to make these things like blocks. So I just made the upper part of his. So as I'm going, I'm kind of looking at, I'm kind of experimenting at the same time. Like I try not to um I try not to make I try not to be too rigid. If something is not working on the fly, I just change it. So I was thinking about compressing the whole torso, but as I started drawing, I decided to change it. So I'm thinking about how long, because there's a way he's posed that he's this part of his torso is really long. So I'm thinking about how to sell, that length. So I just managed to create a character that's based on the reference that we're seeing here, to stylize it a little bit. Um, so I'm going to try another one. I'm gonna try this one. And I think I'm probably gonna spend more time on this one. So if I was gonna draw this lady, I'm just gonna go straight and do something like this. But I I'm thinking, okay, this is not bad, but let's push let's push this let's push this thing really a little bit more. So if I was gonna push this, I could decide, okay, what if her entire body, because what I see is like an over I see this shape like this. I see this shape. So I could decide, okay, instead of making it this, um, I could retain that shape as it is, and then maybe make her head smaller, and exaggerate her arms to feel shorter, um, and her legs as well. So to play with this one, I'll make her head like really small, and then I'm gonna push that body, and then I'm going to make this leg like, and then I want to also exaggerate her hands as well. I want her hands to feel very, oops, sorry. Okay, this is one. I'll try another one again. I'll try another one. This time around, maybe I'll make her head big. So I like the shape of her head. And then So this one to me is not really successful. I don't like this one, so I'm going to try another one again. Um, I'm going to try. I'm also trying to draw fast because of time. I guess the time is messing up with my head, so I'm going to try and I want to make her round. So
Please take your time, sir.
oh,
We appreciate whenever the class ends. Yes, sir.
okay, no problem. So this is usually like my first pass. It's not like this is like the final stuff. So I usually go around. I usually do like another pass on it. This is like that's why this is like looking really rough. I'm supposed to do like another pass on it, but I'm thinking that may not really have the time for that, so I won't be able to do that. Okay, so this is gonna be the last. Let me try. Okay, so yeah, that's that for physique. I want to move on to heads. So the same logic applies for heads as well. But then let me bring up the notes again. So I'm tackling these two at the same time, because you're looking out for the signs, but then as well you have to be fearless. And being fearless is something that everybody, like I think every artist goes through this because it's very easy to stay in your comfort zone, and you know that's why that's why I don't know. People say I have a style. I don't think I have a style. I just like to go with the flow. It's really hard to push yourself. So one of the techniques that I use to push myself, let me just say, one of the techniques I use to push myself is drawing blindly. That's I'm drawing like I'm looking at the reference, but I'm not looking at my line work. So I'm going to do that with this character. So you see, it's the reason I like to draw blindly sometimes is that it forces me to make mistakes, because when you're thinking about when you're in the zone and you're drawing, sometimes you don't want to make mistakes. I know that the head is supposed to be here, the eye is supposed to be here, but when you make intentional mistakes, then you have to kind of build on that. So I like to draw blindly sometimes just to push and to become more fearless, for lack of a better word. So with this one, I'm going to draw blindly. So what it means is that my eye is on the reference and my eye is not on the stroke. So this is going to be like really crazy. So you guys don't laugh at me, but it's going to be like I'm going to draw rubbish. So, but I usually draw that rubbish first and then go back and build on it. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that. So sometimes I also look at what I'm drawing just so that I don't end up having like one very very ridiculous work. Okay, so this is like very very ridiculous. Like I said, don't laugh at my work, but I'm going to go back and work on this again. So I'll reduce the opacity and I'm going to draw on top of this one. Um, I really don't like this calligraphy brush for cleaning up. I prefer using like a regular. Um, so this brush doesn't have any line. It doesn't have any opacity or anything like any. What's it called? It doesn't have any pen pressure. Like it's just a regular round brush. So I'm going to look at. So I'm looking at her head. The distance from here to here. The distance from here to here looks like really really long, and then from here to here looks like really really short, and then it appears that there's like a huge gap between her nose and her lips. I know it sounds weird, but when you draw faces a lot, you see that you can be able to tell how far, like you can tell if someone's mouth is like really far from their nose. So I'm keeping that in mind. I'm going to go back and work on and draw this again. Her nose looks like really really wide, so I just want to make that nose like super wide, just to push. And then I'm taking her mouth, her lips. So this is like really really loose. It's really really loose. Her eyes are really are very very tiny, so I'm going to keep that those eyes tiny like that. And the eyes appear to be far apart. Then she has this funny thing with her eyebrows. The eyebrows look like they look somehow like this. Then the forehead, her forehead, I'm going to push that forehead a little bit more. If it's not working, I'll change it again, but I'm thinking I should push it. And then her ears seems somehow like a square in my eyes. Oops. Her neck looks very small, so I'm going to exaggerate that neck. If it's not working again, like I said, I'll just adjust. But for now, I'm just trying things out. So I chose this character because everybody, like Nigerians, know these characters. If you're not a Nigerian, yeah, I'm sorry, but um, this is, I think this is Obi Ezekwesili. But if you're a Nigerian, I'm sure you know her face. So, and this is Nigerian. This is a Nigerian platform. So I was just thinking of someone that we can recognize. Okay, so another thing I'm noticing as I'm doing this is that her face looks like a square. So I'm going to um, kind of play with that idea as well. Okay, so this neck is not doesn't seem to be working, but let me just leave it like that. Now I'm going to fade this one and draw on it again. So this time around I'll use black. So I'm just going to see, she seems to have like very tired eyes. I'm thinking maybe I should push these lips down a little bit more. And then we still have the square. I'm going to hone in on that square shape. Again, when doing this exercise, it's not about resemblance because we're not trying to do like a what's it called, a caricature. We're trying to find the character in the subject. So it's not about resembling the person. You might end up having the character look like the person, but that's not really what the exercise is about. It's about being able to find character in your reference, and um, yeah, it's about trying to find character in your reference and building on it. Okay, so yeah, so I guess I hope that we've been able to learn something from this one. I have to move on at this point to the next character. There'll be a Q&A at the end of the day, so you'll be able to ask any question that you want to ask. So moving on to now, I want to try. We still have a little bit of time. I'm thinking we'll try one more head. Let's see. Okay, let's try this one. So if you look at this guy's head, you can see that first of all, I don't like drawing heads in this front view because I don't like front view. I feel like front view is not doesn't give the real truth a of the volume. You know, I prefer drawing a character that is looking like three quarter rather than front. But for because I didn't have like a lot of time to do deep research, I think, and then also I think that the shape of this guy's head is interesting. So, but I couldn't find like his head turned in different angles. So I'm looking at this shape. His head looks like a triangle. If you look at it very well, so this is being able to look to see. We're talking about how to see. His head looks like a triangle. So we'll try and um, we'll try and play with that idea. So this is hair. I'm doing like really really rough, and then his forehead is really long. Look at the length of his forehead. It appears to be very long. Again, like I said, I'm not trying to find resemblance. I just want to. He has a big nose. I just want to find the character in the person. So this is like my first pass. Let me attempt to push this guy's face further. I'll attempt to push it further so that it looks less realistic. So I want to use this. I'm changing the brush. I'm thinking of, because he by looking at his eyes, it looks like they're a bit far apart. So I'm thinking of pushing those eyes to to see if it works. If I push it to the corner of the face to see if it will work. I'm thinking that I should make this head longer. And his ears, they feel small, so I'm going to make those ears small. So I made his nose bigger. I pushed the eyes further apart, and then I made his forehead abnormally longer, and then we can have the small hair around. And they also made his ears small. So yeah, I don't think I need to go any further with this because we kind of get the idea with this one. So I have to move on. And then I think there's one more face. So I'm gonna try this one. Yes, this one is really interesting. I like this head because it looks like. So let me just, for lack of a better word, my own description of what I see in this head is a huge mass with shapes that are lost or that are. So the her eyes and her nose. Imagine if her eyes and her nose were objects inside of a large room, and then her eyes and her nose and her lips are so small that they cannot fill up the entire space. That's what I imagine as I'm looking at this face. So what I'm thinking now is I just going to draw like this massive blob shape, and then also you notice that her shape is like round. It's really round. So I'm just thinking about this massive shape, and then I'm going to do like a ridiculous exaggeration of and making her features really really small. Oops, sorry. Everything is small, and ear is small compared to the size of her face. Her ear is really, I think it should be small. So it's interesting to see that even a very chubby person still has cheekbones. These are things that when you draw a lot, like if you study a lot of faces, you see that no matter how chubby a person is, they still have, you can still feel like there's a skeleton under the person's body, like underneath the skin. So it's interesting to see. So the, ordinarily you would not think that somebody that is chubby like this would have cheekbones, but she does. So that's why you always have to study. My best, references, or the best way I study, like I always study from life, because life gives you the best references that you can ever think of, or the most range that you can think of. So then maybe I can now. Then also, let's even try. So I'll put this one on the side, and I'll try give another shot. If I look at this face, I can also see a square, but it's more like a rounded square. So what if we try to draw a square version of this face, a rounded square version, and it also feels like the head is getting smaller, the cranium. So what if we try something like this? So I've just done like two versions. One is square and one is squarish, and then the other one is round. So how much time do we have left? Okay, let me see if there is any. Uh, so with even with fashion, it also works as well. But this one is this one is tricky because if you are given a brief, then a you may not see a reference that matches exactly what your final character is going to look like in terms of what they're going to wear. So but this study is just to show you like shapes, like just so that you can play around with shapes. So this one I see. This is how I would draw this normally. Oops, sorry. She has really short nose. Then I can decide to maybe make her waist thinner. I'm actually drawing this one. Hold on. So she's leaning on this one, so it's gonna be like this. So the way I'm drawing, I'm not trying to like, as you can see, I'm trying to free my hands so that I'm not a slave to the reference material. Maybe I'm thinking maybe I'll make her torso like really short. She's leaning on. She appears to be leaning on this one. So Maybe I can make her longer. Right. Oops. All right. So I'm just showing that it's applied. The principle also applies to when you're drawing outfits. Uh, but you always have to look for something that stands out, what sticks out, so that you can exaggerate it. Then the last, okay, so we have pastiche. So this pastiche is it's a word that represents, you taking ideas, like creating artwork based on someone else's style. Yeah, you can ask if you. So there's going to be a question. There's going to be a question Q&A after in the next 5 minutes. So please, I'll go back if you want me to go back to. If there's something I drew before that you need me to clarify on, I'll definitely go back to it. But for now, let me just quickly run through this. In the next 5 minutes, I'll be done. So pastiche is an artist taking someone else's like maybe drawing inspiration from other artists and then using it to create your own work. So this is very important, and it helps you to loosen up your style, or to find your style also. I'm gonna show what I'm gonna show my Pinterest. I don't know if you guys use Pinterest. I use Pinterest a lot. Like, I cannot overemphasize how, like, I'm on Pinterest every day. I spend more time on Pinterest than any other social media platform. As you can see, some of my pins have like thousands. Like, this is 2.3k, 500, 2.6, 1.3, 6.7, and I pick specific like subjects that like I have like specific boards for inspiration on different areas. So, and most of my boards are locked. As you can see, there's a padlock, so nobody knows.
So
Sorry.
we can't see a Pinterest. We can't see a Pinterest. We're still seeing the clipboard page. Are you showing
Oh,
us a Pinterest?
okay, okay. I think it's because I'm sharing the window rather. Sorry. Sorry about that. Yeah, I think I'll share my entire screen. Sorry, I was supposed to share my entire screen. Okay, so I think you can see it now.
Yes.
Okay, so I use Pinterest a lot, and I have like different things like physique, concept art, like other people's artworks, um, footwear, mech, storyboarding, futuristic. I just have like different um, boards for inspiration. I'm always saving stuff. Like, I can save stuff from anywhere. Like, for example, this one I saved it from. I saved this one from TikTok. As you can see the TikTok things on it. So I'm always saving, like, anywhere. If I see something anywhere, I just screen grab it and save it into my mood board. So this one, which I call boss, like, it has like the most amount of pins in it. Like, this is 6,600, and I've been collecting this stuff for years. And I look out for shapes, like heads with unique shapes, because as a designer, you're not trying to replicate life. you're trying to draw inspiration from life. So it's not all heads that would inspire you. There are some heads that just stand out because of their shape. So I look out for those kind of unique head shapes, and save them up. So, um, and also I have a character design collection. So speaking of pastiche, I have like many many artists. Like if I see anything I like on Instagram, ArtStation, anyway, I just save them. I don't really get to use them, like I should, but it's good to just have them, so that if I need inspiration at any point, I can always refer to them. So then also this is for like other character designers, but I tend to draw more inspiration from the much older works, like works that were done in centuries ago, or probably thousands of years ago. So I have like Egyptian stuff, African masks, and stuff like that. So yeah, that's that with pastiche. So the last one is to stay hungry. I cannot. I think it was Steve Jobs that like gave a speech. I think it was at Stanford, and he ended it with "Stay hungry, stay foolish." The truth is that you actually have to stay hungry. In this part of the world, in Nigeria, sad to say, there are very few people that I've seen that are very hungry. Cyril is here. Cyril is like my very good friend, and Cyril is one of those people that I know that is very hungry. In fact, I learned how to be hungry from Cyril. And he's here, Cyril Kodu. So yeah, if you guys want to look him up, he's a great artist as well. You have to stay hungry. You have to buy books. Like you can see books behind me, but these are not all my books. This is like a quarter of my books. I still have like a huge cupboard of books, and I'm always buying books and reading. So you have to be hungry like that. Spend your money. I'm going to end with a story. So Cyril, I'll tell you a story that between me and Cyril. So in Uniben, because we both went to Uniben, we studied engineering together. But he was, I think, 2 years ahead of me. But we're friends. So Cyril, when before I met Cyril, I was doing like mostly portraits, artworks. People will give me their pictures, and then I'll do like lifelike representation of their works, like photorealistic renditions of their work, and then I'll frame it. They'll pay me and stuff like that. But when I met, and I was feeling cool myself that I knew how to draw. When I met this guy and I saw his sketches, and he was drawing from light, was drawing from his imagination, and like I was like, yo, so people can actually draw this well with their imagination. And then he told me that it's great to be able to draw, pictures like portraits and stuff, but drawing from imagination is next level. And then he had some books that he had photocopied from somebody else, because then we were students, we didn't really have like money like that, and then most of all these books were abroad. Like, where are you going to see a book on how to draw, like how to design characters and stuff like that? So I took his own photocopy and photocopied his photocopy. That was how hungry I was. And the funny thing is that when I photocopied his own, like it was faded, like I couldn't see. People were going to, as a student, it was just weird, because when you see other students, when you go to like a business center where they do photocopy and stuff in school, you see people photocopying the assignments, photocopying, doing stuff like that. Me, I was busy photocopying art books that was not even related to what I was studying. I was studying engineering. So I'm trying to say that the hunger was there from, like, I've been cultivating this hunger. This story I just told you happened around maybe 2007, 2008, long time ago. So that hunger has been there since 2007 till now, and it's still going. So I'm just saying that you have to be very hungry like that. If you're not hungry, you may not, you may not go past a certain level. There'll be like a glass ceiling over your head. So, with these few points of mine, I hope I've been able to impact something, and we'll move on to the Q&A. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Uzoma. Would also like to hear from Mr. Cyril, so it would be nice to just hear from him. So if you're here, please can you just introduce yourself?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, good evening, everybody. My name is Cyril Kodu. Um, I'm glad to be here to support my very good friend for many, many years now. I'm truly humbled by his kind words. And yeah, I'm just glad to see that there are many like minds like us, doing this and having this desire for this creative endeavor. And despite our unique challenges and despite all we experience in this part of the world, hopefully, we'll network and we'll continue to do this a little bit more because it's it can be lonely being an
Yeah.
artist and you're hungry and you're looking for help. I know
Yeah.
how I can empathize seriously how it is. You feel clueless, you don't know what to do, you need. So I'm glad that we have the community of like minds, and maybe hopefully moving forward we can do better. Yeah, everything he has talked about, he just scratched the surface. Um, yeah, but if you take this and run with it, is a good base to do more. You understand, and to really expand more. And just keep drawing, draw every day. If I remember, my mind's going back to Secret City and Commander Mark. So draw, 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 draw every day. Keep drawing. I don't know if you have 90s kids there. Draw, draw, draw. Keep drawing every day, and we'll definitely do this again. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Thanks, man.
Thank you so much. Please, can we have your social media so we
Okay,
can?
I
Yeah.
lost my Instagram, but I'm on ArtStation. Just look for Kodu Serial on ArtStation. Although a lot of the things that are old, I haven't been posting for some time. But I promise that I'll get my social medias up and running by grace of God before the year runs out. I've been in hiatus for some time, but I'm coming back very soon, very, very strong. There are lots of stuff, but I haven't just been posting. But hopefully, by the grace of God. But if you want to look at the old stuff, they're on our station. Kodu Serial, you can't miss it on our station. I'll try to keep
Okay.
it that as well.
Okay. 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 Thank you so much.
It's
Thank you so
impossible.
much. Thank you very much, Mr. Ozema. You can
Yeah.
also follow him on his social media page, like Instagram, for instance, and even LinkedIn. So thank you. So I think it's time for the Q&A section. So if anybody has questions, you can just raise your hand and we can take it from there. Who has